Hey everyone, welcome to the Sackhoff Show. I am your host, Katee Sackhoff. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Before we get into the guest, I want to remind you all to stick around for the Hindsight after this episode where we're going to talk about the guest, we're going to answer some questions, and we're going to get into a fun little segment called the Mailsack. If you don't know what that is, I highly suggest you hang around for it. You can send your questions and your comments to the sackhoffshow@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. And also, we have a Patreon. Most of you know, some of you don't. Come check it out. We have such a great time over there. I talk to you almost daily over in the community chat room. You guys can talk to each other. You can talk to me. It's a really great community that we've started to build over there, and I love every second of it. There is content that you can only get there, like the live shows and live Q&As and extended versions of the Hindsight, where we really let our hair down. I let my hair down, and we have a great time. It is patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. I have no conventions this month or next month because I have a new job, which I can't tell you about. But when I can, I will. So make sure that you come check me out in Dallas area. That is the first convention, which is August 8th, 9th, 10th, that weekend. So that will be my first convention back in the Dallas area. Our guest today, I am so excited for this guest. I love her dearly. I really have just started to get to know her. And she's, again, one of those people that I wish I'd been friends with longer. I'm just going to tell you who it is. This week's guest is the lovely, talented Kate Siegel. Kate is amazing. She does so many horror projects. She co-wrote and starred in a movie called Hush that is absolutely amazing with our friend, Michael Trucco, and her performance was stunning. We talk about Oculus, The Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, The Haunting of Bly Manor, The Fall of the House of Usher. She is everywhere. She is a constant collaborator of Mike Flanagan, and we talk about that a lot as well. So we really get into who Kate is and what makes her tick, and I love that. She is such a wonderful guest, and she's so open and forthcoming, and she is an incredible talent. So I can't wait for you to get to know her a little bit better. I'm just going to get out of the way and let you get to know my friend, Kate Siegel, a little bit better.
Hi.
You're in Canada.
I'm so happily in Canada, yeah.
I'm so envious.
You're pretty close, though.
We're pretty close. Are you involved in Carrie?
Oh, gosh. So at the beginning of any production, there is a timeline that is from you're submitted for a role or you're submitted for a part of the production through approvals. Then it goes to you're approved. Then it goes to business affairs. Then it goes to your agents. Then they negotiate. Then you get the job. I am in the middle of that murky swamp. So
fun.
Officially, I say no comment.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm so used to saying that these days. It's not even funny. So you and Mike work together on so many projects. How do you navigate where your involvement will be and if it will be and what character you're drawn to and what character he's drawn to? Do you guys talk about this from the very beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's hard because what seems strange for other people is just my life. And so try to figure out how our relationship measures up to a different type of relationship. I can't see both things. I'm just in my marriage. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, for Mike's projects, Mike is the boss. And that's a very important line we draw. And he'll slip me a script and he'd be like, hey, why don't you read with an eye on Camille. I think you would really enjoy this. And I'll read that and I'll be like, oh my God, that's great. And then because I can't help myself, I'll come up with insane things like, oh my God, what if she has like a giant dog cage in her bedroom and like her weird fetish is puppy play? And he'll be like, what? And I'm like, it's amazing. And then she's wearing a Built hoodie because she's a secret fan of Built. And she's like, I'll go fucking nuts. And like some of that makes it in, or other things like Camille speaks fluent German. And so she's constantly translating things in German in her head, does not make it in. And so, but it's just like our life is telling stories to each other and involving. And then there's a secondary type of project where, like Hush, we create it together. And then I have a much more intimate process with him, where it's like we're telling the story, we're creating the people, we're creating the movie together and moving in. And then, of course, there are things that I'm in charge of, like Stowaway, where I hire him and then he responds to me. Or like I'm producing a movie and starring in a movie called Epilogue, where he is an EP on it. And I tagged him in and was like, this is what I need from you. And so our secret is just clearly defined roles.
Huh. You were so like transcendently good in Hush. Your performance was like absolutely stunningly good.
Thank you.
It is so hard to play somebody who has no ability to hear in such a terrifying situation. Where did that movie come from?
So I think, there's a lot of published story of the history where it's like we're out to dinner and Mike and I were talking about films we loved. But the more intimate reason for Hush was I've always believed that for art, especially, the things you hate the most about yourself or your perceived weaknesses are what create vulnerability, which is what makes art successful. It brings people in. And so this was a time in my career where I felt like I was terrified, that everyone was out to get me and I didn't have a voice and I didn't have control and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I felt at the whim of outside influences. And what's beautiful about the thriller genre, the horror genre, is that you've got a Trojan horse situation, because all Hush is a metaphor for that. And I don't think it was necessarily at the front of my consciousness when I was writing it, but in looking back at me 10 years later, I think to myself like, oh, baby girl, like, love, it's okay. People will hear you. People will listen. You can relax. Like, you can use what you perceive to be like your terror towards the world, your generalized anxiety disorder, as something that is okay to bring your whole self. And Hush, I think, was the first time I brought my whole self to a part.
What was going on in your life that you felt all of those things? Was it just being a woman navigating life, or was it something specific around career and life that was going on?
Well, it was, first of all, I was auditioning a lot and booking nothing.
Yeah.
And it's so, for me, and I think for a lot of actors, auditioning is a painful necessity where you walk in and you show a piece of your heart and then someone says yes or no. And then when you get upset about that, your friends, your family, your agent will be like, it's what you signed up for. Like, it's part of the job. It's this thing. And you're like, okay, yes, but also, ow. And that kind of feeling like I'm saying, I don't like this, and hearing from everybody I trusted, like, well, too bad, you got to do it. Got to do it over and over and over again. And I'm like, I'm not good at this. And they're like, well, you got to learn it. It's a skill. And I'm like, but yeah, but I'm not good at every skill. Like, I'm not a great roller skater. So there was a lot of that. And then there was a lot of private emotional turmoil that I don't really get into in a public forum. But I think you know a little bit about what I was going through at that time. And all of that put me in a place where the second a blank page and a cursor popped in front of me, I just knew what I wanted to say. And it was sort of a way of saying to myself, I hear you, I see you, you're okay.
Did you always have the ability to write? Or is it a skill that sort of came out of you when you had something to say?
I was always a storyteller.
Okay.
And like in my young childhood, that was lying. So like as a second grader, you know this, right? A lot of actors and creatives have this. It's like I was such a liar when I was a kid.
Compulsive liar.
The way I love to make up stories about what I did. Like my daughter the other day told a bunch of girls in her class that she was on the Eras tour. She's 6. Like but I had to, of course, be a parent. I had to parent her through that. But also inside, I was like, get it, girl. Like, I get it. You were in your head, you were on the Eras tour, and you can lay it out. And I was the same way. Like I would and it cost me friendships and all the things that compulsive lying costs you. But I was a storyteller, and I would tell myself stories about myself or my friends and like that. And it wasn't until I met Mike, who is such an accomplished and fantastic screenwriter and person, that he sort of helped me learn that language. Like I'd never taken a screenwriting class, but Mike taught me a lot about how to translate the story that's in your head onto the page. I so admire that you have the ability to, in your lying, sort of like admit it that you lost friendships and you lost things as a result of it. I have so much shame over like the lying that I told, because it did cost me friendships. It did. And I've known, like what you said, that I was telling stories. In my mind, I was telling fantastical stories. They hurt. Some of them can hurt people, but I've had so much shame over it. And I was 14, you know what I mean? Well, there's 2 things that happened, right? Like, first, I did so much therapy. I got into serious therapy right around the time Hush happened and have never stopped since.
Good for you.
So recontextualizing my interior shame and hatred has allowed me to do that. And so it's not like a magical thing that I had, which was self-acceptance. It's been a decade of hard work. And then the other thing is having children.
Yeah.
Watching my daughter lie, I realized that she's not the things I said that I was. She's not a monster. She's not a bad girl. She's not somehow unworthy of love. She's just trying to feel important. She's trying to prove her worth. And she just didn't have another way of doing that to these new friends at a new school. And so as her adult, I need to guide her through that and say, look, there are so many things about Theodora Flanagan that are amazing, that have nothing to do with being on the Eras tour. Like, look at all these things about you that are wonderful. You share those with your friends. And then you ask them what makes them wonderful. And that's how you build friendship. The other thing, creates a divide. And so I feel lucky to have the kids I have who are teaching me a lot about the world.
God, isn't that something I've learned what true strength is by watching my daughter, and resiliency. And, it's funny because I used to, before I had children, I always said, if I could teach resiliency, I would. And I don't know if you can teach resiliency. I think it's just something that naturally happens out of circumstance. And you, maybe you can guide to it. Or like with our daughter, how it just like hit her upside the head. And it was like, you're either going to be resilient or you're not. Like those are the choices. But I learned something every single day from these kids, and it brings me to my knees usually daily.
But I think that shines through in your work, especially. Like, I think that's a through line through all of your characters, that they are resilient. They are survivors. They are going to get through things. And it's beautiful because it also is tempered by the such love you bring to everything you do. It's a beautiful combination. You're a very open heart and your bone deep resilience.
Oh, bless you. I appreciate that. What draws you to the characters that you play? Because you have played some just fucking amazing characters. And they are written beautifully. But a lesser actress would not have created what you've created with every single character that I've seen you portray. What is it that draws you to those characters, and how do you bring such depth to them?
Oh, golly. Thank you, first off. Second of all, I wish I had a good answer for this. I don't know. It's a bell that rings in my head. It's a ding that happens when you read a script. I mean, once, of course, you filter through the things that's like, she has such perky breasts. You're like, delete. Sorry, email, you're gone.
She has such perky breasts.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I would just look down and be like, not me.
Yeah. Dear Cassie
Sorry.
Berger, I'm currently 43. Am I 43? Am I 42? Breastfed 2 kids. But no, so there's a ding that happens with any script, directing or any like writing assignment or any acting assignment. And then that like bell ringing comes along with like, oh my God, this would be so much fun. Like, I get to do this. I get to do that. I get to do this. And so I'm kind of instinctually drawn to them. And then I think for me, it's an act of falling in love. And like, I still think about Camille all the time. Like, what this poor ripped off monkey face, spoiler alert, girl. And I just like, I love her so much. When on paper, she's like absolutely terrible. She's about as bad as it gets. Like a straight up monster. But I was like, you know what? You know what she didn't do? She let her assistants sign consent forms. She didn't spring assault on them. They signed the paperwork. That's something, right? That's something.
It's true. It's something. It's a kernel.
Something. It's a kernel.
So how do you take a character like that on paper is like what you said, just evil? How do you love them? Like, how do you know what I mean?
Well, I think it comes from something we were talking about a couple minutes ago. I, for a long time, thought of myself truly, like in my darkest moments, in my most private thoughts, as an evil person who was trying to be good. Like, truly believed that I was born bad and that I'm going to try to be good despite the fact that at my core I'm rotten. And this is like,
really?
Yeah. It's sad. And it comes from a bunch of stuff that happened in my life and also like actual chemical imbalances in my brain. And so and I can be quick to judge. Oh, I can be quick to judge because I judge myself hard. And so when I do that, I let myself do it. I let myself judge Camille. I let myself judge Erin for not doing certain things I would have done. I let myself judge, Theodora Crain for a lot of things she should have done or shouldn't have done. And then once that judgment passes, I start to think about the things that I did that were bad and why I did them. And I think about the person who's watching the show who maybe kissed their sister's husband, which is something Theodora Crain did. I don't think this is a rare thing that has happened. Theo's not the first person on the planet to do that. And I would like them to see themselves represented as opposed to seeing my judgment of someone who did something like that.
It's a really difficult thing. I played a character one time that left her kid.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to identify with that. And it was the first thing I had to do was stop blaming her and shaming her.
Yeah.
To find her.
Do you remember those moments when they're little and everything is screaming and pulling and you're so tired and you clip them into a car seat and you close the door and you walk extra slow around the car before you get in the driver's just because like for a second they're safe, they're contained and it's quiet. I feel like from there we could extrapolate why you would leave a kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like those little moments, I just like you start, that's kind of the fun, right? I bet when you solved her, it was fun, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very freeing.
Yeah.
Once I found her. Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Masterclass. Our parents were our first mentors. I know that mine were. My mom is a teacher, my dad is a builder, and they taught me so much about life. But who do they look up to? I know that my mom is really into calming her mind right now and mindfulness. And I think she would really love this class by Jon Kabat-Zinn. It's mindfulness and meditation. So give the gift of learning to the people who taught you so much with Masterclass. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become your best. Father's Day is right around the corner. And one of the things I remember the most about my dad growing up is not only that he loved a good bottle of wine, but that he loved to cook. He absolutely loves to cook. And I think that he would love Gordon Ramsay's cooking class right now over at Masterclass. I really think that he would enjoy that because he loves his phone. He's always cooking when his phone is around. And I think that this would be perfect with Gordon's class. For just $10 a month billed annually, a membership with Masterclass gets you unlimited access to every single instructor. It's an amazing deal. Not just one class, all of them. Our listeners always get great discounts on Masterclass of at least 15% off any annual membership at masterclass.com/Katee. See Masterclass's latest deal, at least 15% off at masterclass.com/Katee. Masterclass.com/Katee. This episode is brought to you by Raycon. Summer is here. Oh my gosh, it is so warm here in the Pacific Northwest. It is my favorite time of year. There is more warmth. There is more light. Hello, light till 9 o'clock at night. There's more time to spend outside. Summer is just the time to be out and about, enjoying life and every single moment from sunup to sundown. But we all need a sidekick, a little help to help us enjoy our favorite music podcasts and calls in crystal clear sound all day long. And that sidekick for me is Everyday Earbuds by Raycon. I absolutely love my green Raycon earbuds. They are the most beautiful watermelon green. They are small. They are so comfortable. And the most important thing, crystal clear. I use them when I work out. I use them on planes. I use them for movies, for podcasts, for listening to music. And I sweat in these things, you guys. If you've ever seen me work out, you know that I work out hard. And these earbuds keep up with me. If you're loving your Raycons, they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy, 0 questions asked. Go to buyraycon.com/Sackhoff to get 15% off Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds. Right now, Raycon is offering 15% off their best-selling everyday earbuds only at buyraycon.com/Sackhoff. That's buyraycon.com/Sackhoff. At this discount, you can get 2 colors. Enjoy your summer. What do you remember from Oculus?
Oh, no. I want to tell you something, and I don't want you to get mad at me.
Oh my God, I promise I won't get mad at you. I promise I won't get mad at you.
I had such a chip on my shoulder during Oculus. Oh, I had such a chip. I was like this featured background extra, but I thought of myself as very important.
You were important to the project.
I was like the tiny, tiny, tiny part. And I was so jealous of you and the part and your work and how good you were. And I couldn't even, they didn't even give me a rental car. So I just sat in the Fairfield Inn & Suites. And I would walk to Bass Pro Shop, but I'd have to walk along the highway. And I would walk and I'd be like, I'm this. And all I wanted, oh God, I'm so embarrassed, but oh God, I hope someone hears this and knows that they're not a bad person. I was like, why aren't Katee and Karen and Brenton calling me to hang out? Why won't they be my friend? And I was like, because I never reached out myself. I wasn't like, hey, what are you guys up to? But it was so painfully childish and so dumb because you guys never did anything but were nice to me. But I had such low self-worth in that moment that I couldn't see anything other than the sharp edges on my own reflection. So Oculus was like that. I'm so sorry.
Gosh.
I was never going to tell you that. I really wasn't. Because you guys,
I'm so glad you did.
You guys were nothing but kind and welcoming. And I just had a whole other crazy story going in my head that had nothing to do with reality.
But I see that. And oh my gosh, I have been there. And so I get it. And I would never hate you. And I think I have been there too. I think that it's very easy sometimes to put yourself in a story in your head, right? And I have convinced myself sometimes that people at work hate me because they don't call me to hang out, or that I did something wrong and I am no longer part of the group anymore because they didn't invite me someplace. And we do this thing sometimes because we stand in judgment of ourselves so much. And it's funny because I look back on it and like, I remember the time we all were out drinking and you were there and I was like, oh, she's here. Uh-huh. I love that she's here. Because I sat by myself in that hotel room a lot. I think we all went out. I mean, we went out a couple times. But I felt so much older than Brendan and Karen as well. Or Brenton and Karen. And so I think I just like sat at the hotel and like chain smoked a lot. That's how I feel. I feel like I sat and I chain smoked a lot.
But this is this is the thing that interests me. And I've always wanted to tell a story of just like, so like it's a movie, it's centered entirely around the Fairfield Inn and Suites during the production of Oculus. And we drop in and out on all those characters and everybody's different experience that they believed was reality while making a movie. It's so funny. Mm-hmm. It's a real Rashomon situation.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I hung out at that Bass Pro all the time.
They had a bar in the store with fish. Yes. Listen, I'm an alcoholic, so I'll always find the bar. Yes, there were fish and you could like sit there and drink and then you could like buy some weird camo stuff. And you know, what are you going to do?
It was amazing. I still have clothes that I bought from there because I went, because there was also like a Walmart right there too, I think. And I had some like, you know, like the Arizona brand, like some stuff there that I bought too because I went without enough clothing and like I couldn't figure out what to wash. I had a panic attack one night on Oculus so bad they drove me to the emergency room.
Oh, no.
Because I was so insecure in sort of like stepping into that role. It was one of the first, she wasn't the lead of the movie, but she was one of the leads of the movie. And I was scared. Especially when we started playing Marie in her primal place. I was really insecure. Mike was so wonderful in that situation because he was so supportive and he was so collaborative and it was such a wonderful experience. But I was terrified to do it. And one day I was sitting in my prosthetics like all day and we had to shoot the kids out. So I was in like, and it's not a ton of prosthetics. It was just like the scratches, but they were on my chest, they were on my face, and I was in them for a while. And I had like a claustrophobic, weird thing sitting in my trailer that I went back to the hotel that night when we were wrapped out and done. And at the hotel, I had a panic attack and Transpo picked me up and drove me to the emergency room.
Oh my God. In a strange city, in a strange state. I'm so sorry. That must have been really scary.
He was wonderful though. The guy didn't leave me. He stayed with me the entire time. Like, wait, was it the Alabama?
Was it the Transpo who played the guitar, George?
I don't remember.
Long beard?
Kate, I don't remember. I have such a terrible memory.
You're okay.
No, like I don't remember.
I cried in George's van a lot, so.
When did you, so after that experience and feeling that, how did you get yourself out of that place? If that's how you felt like in that movie, like, is that,
Well, that would be, alcohol. It was a real problem. I didn't know how to get out of that place. And so I turned to alcohol at the time and like a lot of self-destructive behavior. And I didn't know. And I made a ton of mistakes. And then I hit a bottom. And then I got into therapy. And then I started figuring it out. But so for me, I don't have a great story of like, and then I really got into meditation or green juices, or it was like I had to fight an addiction for a while because I couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't get out of my way. I couldn't stop being mean to myself. And so I needed a lot of outside help with that.
When did you make the first step to get sober?
So when we were shooting Midnight Mass, which is a show about sobriety, and it was during the pandemic and things had really reached an unmanageable point in my life, I, 6 months before I got sober, started listening to this sober podcast in my car as I would drive to and from work called like the Seltzer Squad. And it was just two chicks talking about sobriety. And I was still drinking this whole time. But that's when I started going, that's pretty weird. Like, it's weird that you listen to this every week, but you're still drinking. But that's cool. I don't know, whatever. And then an event happened, not a fancy event, but like a moment happened. And Mike, who had been sober, I think, for 2 years at that point, kind of sat me down. And he was like, hey, I've been waiting for you to come to this on your own. But as your partner, I need to tell you, it's time. And so I, like most alcoholics, I was like, it's cool. I'm going to give it 30 days. I'll stop for 30 days. It's going to be fine. And then I'll be one of those people who can drink in moderation. I'll be 2 glasses of wine at dinner twice a week. Ooh, she's so capable. And
I love the fact that you just said that. I was hoping you were going to say 2 glasses of wine a night. And when you said 2 times a day, I was like, do I have a problem?
That is completely relative. You are in your own journey. So when I stopped drinking, almost immediately, everything in my life got exponentially better.
Was it instantaneous that things got better, or was it, 2 weeks, the 30 days?
Let's see. Well, let's say it took about a week for all of the alcohol to get out of my system.
Okay.
Right. So I had a hangover that lasted a handful of days. And then let's say by day 4, I woke up. And when I woke up, I was ready to see the day. As opposed to that, like you lay in bed and you're like, oh God, not again. Okay, here we go. Blah. And like you go to chug water and like your stomach feels gross. And so being able to wake up in the morning was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then I started being able to think clearer again. And because I used to have this negotiation with myself, right? Where I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to allow myself 1 drink before I go to bed. But if it's wine, it's not really a drink. So 2 glasses of wine is equal to 1 old fashioned. So I'll do 2 glasses of wine and then it'll be fine. And then I'm like, but I'm at dinner, so I'm allowed to have like a Bailey's and coffee at the end because like it's dinner, it's not at home. And this took up a lot of time in my brain, like negotiating when I was allowed to drink and how much with myself. Yeah. Once I took that out of my brain, it just wasn't a thing. It wasn't all sunshine and moonbeams. Occasionally the impulse would come up really hard. And I had a handful of people I could call, like my husband, obviously, and be like, can you just talk to me through the next 20 minutes until I can get through this? And then after Midnight Mass finished and I stayed sober, I was lucky, like blessed by the universe to do this movie called Hypnotic. Not a great film, but I did my best. And I met a huge sober community. The directors were sober and my co-star was sober. And that made all the difference. And then we started doing weekly check-ins with each other. But sleep got better, my health got better, my skin got better, my work ethic got better, my acting got better, my presence, like being able to be present with my children got better, my self-esteem got better. Like I would just storm around being like, self-esteem is made by estimable acts. That's it. And I would just like, what is something good I can do today to make me feel good about myself? Who can I help? What can I do? And little by little, I made these choices over and over again where I did the right thing just because I did the right thing for selfish reasons. And then that started to feel good. And then, I think people throw around the phrase 1 day at a time a lot without knowing what that means.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what 1 day at a time looked like.
Huh.
Until it became a habit.
Did you always want to be an actor?
Yeah. Yeah. Baby girl from the very beginning. Just like, look at me perform, acting summer camps, like every school play, every summer at sleepaway camp, wanted it so bad, so bad.
What was it about it? Was it the storytelling like you talked about earlier?
It was the attention.
Oh.
I was one of those, yeah. And then there's nothing I love more than a club that doesn't want me. And so the fact,
Amen. Amen.
All throughout my journey, like all throughout school plays and summer camps and even college, I was like at the B+ level. I was never the favorite, the star, or the inevitable. I was always striving and grasping, and I found that very satisfying. And, but I love attention. I love being in the hair and makeup trailer. I love wardrobe. I love being on set. I love all of those things. And it's interesting moving into directing and producing, how that feels satisfying to me in a less addictive way. Acting feels like there's an addiction there for me. But we can't be perfect. My God, we all need to have something. We need to have something. And if my addiction is acting, that's okay. We'll allow it.
Because it also brings art and beauty to the world.
Exactly. Like it's all right.
It's okay. It's okay.
In acting, when I throw up on my shoes, people applaud.
They do. You can win awards for that. Right. And then people pay attention to you. And
I'm like, what? You want to give me a dress? I love dresses. Thank you.
Like me. They really like me.
Awful. So embarrassing.
Has motherhood changed the way in which you view your career? In what way?
I think that there's a sense, I'm sure you have this too, motherhood changes everything. And it just changed my priorities in a real way. I am privileged in so many ways, but my most impressive privilege is that Kate, am not responsible for my family's mortgage. My husband makes enough money that I do not have to work at, or wait tables. I do not have to worry about who's going to pay the mortgage in every month.
Right.
And so the freedom that has given me, that unbelievable privilege has given me, allows me to set my own priorities. And so my top priority becomes my family. Well, actually, my top priority is sobriety, and then my family, and then my career. And so when an opportunity comes across my desk, I can weigh it against those things. And if it's a threat to my family, it's an immediate no, which a threat to the family is not like actual threat, but it could be shooting a series in Romania.
Yeah.
So do I move the whole crew to Romania for 6 months? Like, that's not possible to me. So no matter how delicious that part is, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And so I take a lot of guff for only working with my husband. But A, I don't, suckers, so leave me alone. B, it is the most satisfying and the most important in terms of priority. It allows me to stay with my family and still have art. And frankly, I think he's the best director, writer working right now. So,
is that how, I had this question of like how you balance your work, home, mother life, but it seems very much that it's living by that step ladder of priorities.
Yeah. And all of it's together. I think the compartmentalization leads to not regret, but more like bitterness, because then things don't feel like they're getting the attention they need. Just smoosh it all together. Kids become part of coming to set, and then sobriety is part of everything. And then a project, you bring it home. And sometimes I'll do like make-believe with Theo about a scene that I have to do, like not a terrible scene, not like a running in the woods from the killer scene.
Can you imagine? There's these monkeys.
Yeah, right. Theo, I'm going to chase you and rip your face off. So, but
I'm going to need to walk me through it.
Right. What do you do? But like sometimes they'll do something hilarious, a choice I would have never imagined in a million years. And then I remember that people do crazy shit all the time, and I'll just straight up steal it.
Oh my God. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. They're
That's
inspiration.
Amazing. Yeah, of course. How do you How do you, though, find the time to memorize dialogue, write, direct? Do you balance guilt?
Yes, mothers will always be guilty. I have a full-time nanny.
Okay.
All the time, even when I'm not working. So I have a ton of help.
Yeah.
So I have a nanny and I have an assistant and we have someone who does housework for us.
Okay.
And so a lot of that is necessary for me to be able to do the things you mentioned, which is something I don't think a lot of working actresses and directors talk about.
Well, when we were looking for a nanny, somebody said to me, don't hire a nanny, hire another you. Because if you want to spend time with your children, you need somebody who can be you and go do the things that you are neglecting or the things that you don't want to do up to the standard that you would do them.
Yes. And this is once again talking about privilege. Like,
absolutely.
Do I believe that there are a ton of people who are capable of what I do? Absolutely. And they are bogged down by the day-to-day of laundry and dishes and childcare and mortgage and worry that I have been freed of due to privilege. So.
Yeah. No, people don't see that and they don't talk about it. It's there's this thing in our society, especially in our business, that nobody wants to admit the truth because there's this bragginess that comes from pretending like you can have it all and do it all, and that it's you that's doing it all, and you that is raising your kids and keeping a home and winning an Oscar and keeping your physical body in shape just by, drinking green juices like you mentioned and nothing else. And, you were just born with this face, even though you're 55 and you don't have a wrinkle. Like, we're not allowed to be honest and say, hey, sweetie, that's not possible.
It's not possible. But this goes back to what we were talking about. This is my daughter telling people she was on the Eras tour. Like, somehow, if I were to present this thing that's like, me? Botox? Never. I would never. That's a fucking lie. And that lie creates distance, not connection.
Yes.
And so if I want to be an artist, if I want to be that, I need to connect. Listen, if I want to be advertising, it's a different thing. If I want to be perfect and I want to sell that, go with God. Sell it. You can make money, tons of money, doing advertising of your perfect life and what green juice you drink to stay perfectly skinny. Go forth.
Yeah.
But
and use
for
this
me,
link to the Vitamix.
Exactly.
So I get exactly.
For me, I just can't lie anymore. I can't fucking do it. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Who's been your favorite character?
Yeah. Do you have a favorite child? Do you? Like,
no,
do you have
and
a
I
favorite
hate when
character?
people ask me this question.
I love this question because it's always, well, I hate it too. I
hate it because I'm like all of them. But I actually, if I had to focus, I think I could pick.
Who'd you pick? You go first, then I'll go.
My favorite character I've ever played.
Yeah.
Is probably Vic from Longmire.
Yeah.
Because she's the most grounded in a reality that's tangible to me, but that she's dealing with everyday normal life and problems, and she's not saving the world. She's just going to work.
Yeah. She's just going to work.
And there's just something really, I don't know, she hit me in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. My favorite experience was Midnight Mass.
Okay.
As a whole. That part, Erin Greene, was very hard for me because she was written for me, one of the only ones. And she was written a version of the Erin Greene is a part of me that Mike sees that I don't know about.
Huh.
Yeah. A very soft, vulnerable, very small moves. We always described her as being that. And I had a hard time getting there on my own. And so every day I would end the day being like, did I do it? Did I do the thing? And I had to really give up self-consciousness to play Erin. So it was hard. But the experience with those people in that time in Canada was unforgettable. But the most fun to play was Theo Crain. I was so excited. I had never been a series regular. She's amazing. Every day I would show up on set and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Disneyland again? And like, I emptied the missile silos. And that was a show where nobody knew it was going to work and nobody knew what it was. And Mike wasn't Mike Flanagan yet. And it was just, what a time.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. Truco came and hung out with us quite a bit isn't he amazing?
Yeah.
He married us. Did you know that?
Oh, that's such a good choice.
Yeah. He married us. God, he's wonderful. He's one of my favorite people. But he would come and hang out with us during COVID, and we would all sit on the patio away from each other because we were both on different series being tested constantly. But we felt safe sitting 5 feet apart from each other and talking about work. And he was talking to me about Midnight Mass. And I love to see him proud of himself because he is such a professional and he works really hard. And so I just love that. And it was, and every single person in that cast was just so great.
He was fantastic in that show. Truco does not get the credit he deserves for the depth of talent he has because he's such a heartthrob, you know?
I know.
And yeah, his work as the mayor there like bled through into cast where like he was there and he's always there, you know, this with a great attitude on set, never complaining, long, cold nights. He's there like lifting everybody up with his giant hands. Yes. God bless that man.
He's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
When I interviewed Mike, he talked about how having children changed the way he told stories and sort of what he wanted to see and with his projects. Are you drawn to a different style of project since you've been a mother, or do you have the ability to separate them so completely?
No, when I became a mother, I stopped doing any story. And as a director, I will reject any script with child violence. I can't direct it. I can't come to it with any objectivity. I don't want to perform that. I don't want to go there. I won't do it. Yeah. Also, I stopped doing sex scenes and things like that. Because I think about my teenagers being like, oh, God, oh, mom's boobs. Or like, why is she making out with some dude? And like that becomes a very important part of my like monogamy and my marriage and my family, which is like, listen, man, go with God if you want to do that. But for me, it just leaves a pretty nasty taste in my mouth for me. And there's so many other characters. Like, there's a grouchy scientist out there for me where I don't have to kiss anyone.
It does feel a little weird. I don't know. I don't think I've kissed anyone since I got married.
Yeah.
Have I? I don't think so.
Right?
I don't think so.
And that doesn't mean you can't be in a romantic relationship or imply a lot of things without having to cross a personal boundary. But I don't know. For me, those two things where I just think, and I think it's from the root of the same tree, which is, this is what I'm leaving behind for my children to interrogate. And so Mike and I are in agreement in a lot of things, including that.
Yeah. Is there a story that you want to tell, that you're dying to tell, that either with Mike or without him?
Yes, there's so many. The one I've been toying around with recently is The Yellow Wallpaper by Shirley Jackson.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I'm just like constantly throwing myself back on this chair. It's just fun.
It's okay. One of these days, you just don't want to flip over backwards. I've done that before.
So funny. And then everyone knows I'm wearing like my old dirty sweatpants to a very professional interview. Okay. No. So The Yellow Wallpaper is a Shirley Jackson short story that's like peak feminist literature. It's about isolation and motherhood and female and a woman who goes crazy alone in a room. And it's like the perfect little nugget of a story, but it's really hard to crack because what Shirley Jackson does so well is like the lottery, like Yellow Wallpaper, like Hill House, Haunting of Hill House. She drops you into a moment and doesn't explain things very well. She just it just assaults you with situation and atmosphere and like really gets into your soul and works in there and then rips you out of the story. So in order to adapt Shirley Jackson, you have to do a lot of creation around it without fucking up the heart of the story. And so I'm waiting for my Yellow Wallpaper take. I'd also like to do an Elizabeth Taylor biopic. She was fucking nuts.
She was nuts.
Yeah.
In such an amazing way, though.
But don't you just want that week of her and Richard Burton shooting Cleopatra and screaming at each other and then off to that like incredibly multi-million-dollar set, like a My Week with Marilyn style movie?
I can't. I mean, there's so many interesting stories out there that are dying to be told.
What's yours? What's your windmill that you joust at?
Oh my God. You know, I don't so much find IP or subject matter that inspires storytelling for myself. I think it's something like trying to find a vehicle for therapeutic necessity. In that something that I'm going through in my life or some fear that I have or something that needs to be told has to come out, or it's going to kill me on the inside. And I think I'm trying to find a way through this terror of like having a child, a sick child. And I don't know what the vehicle for that is. And it doesn't even have to be something that you would think of like an actual script or something. It could literally be a graphic novel. You know, it could be something like that where I just need to get it out. And it may not even look like the way that someone thinks it's going to look, but it's somebody going on a fucking murder spree because they need to get this out. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it looks like, but that's sort of, I'm looking for something like that right now.
Yeah.
Therapeutic release.
Yes. Katee versus Injustice.
Yeah. Exactly. How's the house building going up there? Have you ever built a house before?
Wow. No. And like, I'm such a little so-and-so, but everyone's like, construction's really hard. Takes twice as long, costs twice as much. And I was like, yeah, sure, no, totally, absolutely, yeah. Not me. Can't happen to me. Mine's gonna say easy. Just nope. And then here comes reality, just whack. And so some days it's easy, and some days it's hard, and some days it's impossible, and then other days it's amazing. We're about 4 months from completion. And then when that happens and our residency happens, I will sit quietly in Canada and wait for sanity to return to America.
Is that your plan? Are you guys planning on like dual living, or do you think you're going to make your base Canada?
Hard to say. It's a very disruptive time in the world, but we have a TV show. I have a project that goes, then Mike has a project that goes, and then this current show may have a second season. So, and we like to shoot up here, our crews are up here. So that depends. And, the state of the nation.
So you guys you got at least 2 or 3 years up there where you could sit where your projects are all in front of you still.
Yeah. And then you get yourselves in a place where your kids have solid social groups and you don't want to rip them out of a country.
Yeah.
Because my kids were very portable up until about a year ago. When Cody turned 8, he becomes less portable because he has his own identity. And so I have to consider that, which all right, fine.
It's true.
It is true.
We're working on my residency right now. So our kids, my husband's Canadian, our kids are Canadian because, and then so my permanent residency is attached to him because every day you spend married to a Canadian is a day in Canada. So it's very romantic.
It sounds very sexual, but yes.
Doesn't it also sound very sexual? I love
that.
But it's true, because I was like, well, what if I get a job in the States and we're not in Canada right away? Like, how does that work? You've got these times that you have to be in the country. And that was the response. Every day you spend married to him is a day in Canada. And I was like,
romantic.
God bless Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been really, really I have one more question for you, actually.
Okay.
I don't want to, it's this weird one. It's not a weird one. I'm staring right at it. But why horror? And what scares you? You know?
Yeah. Horror, because I was a voracious reader as a child and read a lot of Stephen King and a lot of horror.
Did you?
I loved it.
God, you and Mike have so much in common.
Yeah. We should get married or something.
You should it's so weird. Do you guys know each other?
We should meet. I'll ask him out on a date. So I used horror as a kid to quell my anxiety because I was anxious in the world during like normal shit, like English class. And when I read a horror novel, my anxiety felt appropriate. So it became a safe place for me. And so I was drawn to it. I never had that, like, I won't watch a scary movie, or like, I'm worried the devil's going to get in me if I read The Exorcist. And then when I came to Hollywood and tried to be an actress, I had done my training at Syracuse, mostly in classical theater and Shakespeare. So, you have to unlearn a bunch of like exaggerated things and vocal things and presentational things. And during that transition, I was able to kind of squish it into this heightened reality of horror movies, where sometimes my extreme responses was a benefit, not a failing. And so I found success there. And then it's also really fun to make a horror movie because it's like blood and fighting and violence and screaming. But when you're in, just a straight drama, you're like sitting, having coffee and ripping your heart out. And so I very enjoy the physical nature of horror and all of the like behind the scenes of how a scare is made, because it's very silly on set to make a scare. And then when you watch it, you kind of feel like the magician's trick.
God, that's crazy. So you don't get scared when you watch a scary movie?
Of course I get scared. I love it. I just love to be scared.
You do? And it doesn't carry over into like, let me check the doors 5 times?
Girl, I am terrified all the time. I'm like some terrible version of the Hulk where my secret is I'm always scared.
Me too.
Yeah. And so horror is the only time, watching a scary movie and things like that is the only time where I have met the level exactly right. I'm in exactly the right place.
Oh my God. Did you ever hear that story? It's a story of a man and a woman, and I always butcher my storytelling, so I'll screw this up. But a man gets up, hears a noise in the middle of the night, and he goes downstairs, and a robber has broken into the house, and he's got a gun, and it's pointed at him, and he goes, and the husband goes, whoa, 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 wait right here. I need you to go get my wife. She's been waiting for you for 30 years.
That's actually fantastic. That's like a perfect
I think
joke.
I actually might have told it right. That's
you did.
me. That's me.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Same. I am her. She is me. Yeah. Yeah. I have one more thing where I ask a rando question out of a box that is much more interesting than any question I could ever come up with. So it's literally just a card. I have no idea what it's going to be. Let me get
What's in the box?
What's in the box? I've been wanting to watch Seven again.
You need to do it. I just saw it like in theaters. It is just a perfect movie.
It's a perfect movie.
It's a perfect movie.
Brad Pitt's coming out in this new Formula One movie, and it's made me want to go back and revisit so many of his performances because I think he's underrated.
Yep. He's got the Truco problem. Too beautiful.
Too beautiful. What's your most irrational preference or opinion?
There are so many. I feel like I need to phone a friend. Mike would know this. But my most irrational preference or opinion. Oh, man. I really don't know the answer to this. I should just pick one and go with it.
I can pick another question. That was actually one of those weird ones because it felt like it was like it's a good one, but it feels like it's one of those you've got to think about it for a long time.
Yes, because like it doesn't feel irrational to you. To me, it feels entirely normal to say you can only eat Cheerios on a Wednesday.
Do you only eat Cheerios on a Wednesday?
No.
Okay.
Improv.
I was gonna be like, that's fucking irrational.
That would be so irrational. But I do crazy shit all the time. So I don't know. Pick another one. Pick another one.
Pick another one. Okay, great. Here we go. What do you think will happen when the aliens land?
I'm so excited. They're already here. The aliens are here, guys.
Do you think so?
Without a doubt, there are aliens here. And I think the octopus. I do. I think they're in the water because, like, there's this weird thing. There's this thing that happens when you go about 30 feet below water. The pressure of the water above you is greater than your gravitational pull to float, and it starts to push you down. And then there's some science to explain that there is I'm going to butcher this, but whatever. Somebody comment the correct answer to this. There's activity in the bottom of the ocean that feels like black holes, like portals. And that's how they're getting in. And then they're the squid, maybe this is my most irrational feeling or behavior that I think all octopus are aliens.
We might have actually.
I've revealed too much about myself. But yeah, no, when the aliens come, it's going to be, the people will behave poorly. And then because I do believe that the world tends towards healing and light just, 51% of the time. I think everything will work out fine. Or, we'll all be destroyed.
Yeah, it's totally fine. There is a comic book and a character in DC, and I know this because my daughter's obsessed with DC characters, called Starro. And Starro is a starfish that controls starfish that attach to the back of people's necks, and they become the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And
that to go backwards, that's another one I want to do. I want to do a menopause Body Snatchers movie. Because
Stop. I'm obsessed with menopause.
Has become my whole personality. I can't believe I haven't brought it up yet. But a Body Snatchers movie about menopause, because like, what the fuck?
It's all I think about now.
So Starro is menopause, and it attaches itself to your body. And then you just start behaving differently, and you're itchy all the time. All the time.
I have such itchy skin.
I'm the itchiest person.
Oh my God.
There are the horrors, but there's also ice cream, so that's nice.
Oh yeah. This has been wonderful. I could talk to you forever, but we'll do that in person.
Yeah, come sit on my porch in Canada. We'll be old ladies talking about our aching joints.
Oh, I love that. And we can talk about fun things to put in the menopause movie.
Yep.
Maybe they go on a murder spree.
I would not doubt it. Oh my God, that's what it is. It's not it's body snatching to commit murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
And
maybe that's it.
And the side effects are itchy skin and sore joints and brain fog. But you're still the perfect assassin because your rage level is 75% increased.
And nobody pays attention.
Because you're invisible. Because you're not a pretty young woman anymore. All right. Yes. All right, guys, don't steal this idea. Heard it here first.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah. This is how Tusk happened, by the way.
Yeah?
Tusk started as the Justin Long Walrus horror movie started on a podcast. They just had a weird idea and then it happened. Yeah, so.
I don't know. I feel like this is a really weird idea.
I know. See you on set, girl.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll do it. We're in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing this. It's been really wonderful. Hey everyone, welcome to the Hindsight. I'm still Katee Sackhoff, and I am joined by my producer and now co-host, Jeph Porter. I love Kate. I do. I have a feeling that she and I are going to write a project together as well someday.
Well, I mean, you already pitched one. You pitched one here at the end here, your menopause movie, which I'm into. I think you guys should make it. I loved it, the idea of it.
Are you also a little scared of it?
I mean, generally in the sense that just like women's health scares me,
It scares everyone. That's why there's so little research about women.
Yeah, it's generally frightening. My question though is, so you worked with Kate on Oculus, and you also worked with Mike. Obviously, Mike was the writer-director. That were he and Kate together at that point?
They were not. No, not at all. She was an actress in the film. I don't, the timeline of it was much further after we wrapped.
She works pretty regularly with Mike, and you and Robin have collaborated, and I know you guys are still working on stuff together.
Yeah.
What's that like?
You have no desire to work with Allison?
I mean, we've worked together and everything, but sometimes it's got ups and downs.
I think it's like anything. You have to acknowledge the fact or I have to acknowledge the fact that Robin and I both have strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we both bring very different things to a project. And we work together very well because we complement each other's strengths. And we don't expect the other person to do everything.
Right.
I think that Kate and Mike are different in the sense because Kate also can write.
Mm-hmm. She also she also directs too.
Yeah, she directs too, which is amazing. I'm so excited for that. But yeah, it's there are certain things that I don't do. I can imagine. Now, we've talked about my ex on this show, Scott, quite a bit, who was a producer.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to learn from someone when you're living with them. I mean, we could liken this to pretty much any expertise or any job profession. If your husband is a plumber, you probably know more about plumbing than the average person. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because your husband talks about it and probably has taught you to fix your own toilet and things like that over time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I learned not a lot, but I learned enough about producing that it intrigued me and I wanted to learn more during my relationship with him. And I think Kate and Mike are a perfect example of that. I think that, when you are married to a writer-director, and granted, she was writing even just when they were dating. But if you're married to Mike, and I don't know if she had aspirations to direct before Mike, I'm sure she did. But you can't help but learn from him. You're literally shadowing one of the most prolific horror directors of our time daily.
Yeah.
Like, people would pay for that. You know what I mean? Like, interns would kill to shadow Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
And you just get to do it for life. So I'm sure that rubs off. I would be curious to find out what her directing style is.
Yeah, and I wonder if it goes the other way too. Like, because there's different sensibilities from different people, and I'm sure Mike is picking up things from her, both as a writer and as a director.
Because another thing is, when you are married to an actor, it's very easy to not understand actors or to have your certain opinions about actors just in general, right?
Yeah.
When you're married to someone and you see the way that they work and you see the struggles that they have or the successes they have or just the things that they talk about when they come home from work, as a producer / director / writer, that would probably help you articulate, and sort of like communicate with other actors on a different level as well.
I mean, speaking of collaborating with Allison, I've written things before, and she's an actor, and she will give me feedback on things that I've written from an acting perspective that I'm not thinking about. So it's totally like, she'll be like, if I was an actor, I would look at this part and I would have all these questions, Yes.
And that's basically one of the things that I do with Robin as well, is we will sit down when his draft is complete or almost complete, and we will, oh my gosh, sorry, I've got my dog over here and I've got a mouse that's doing its thing, and I need to put this mouse away because, the mouse is charging.
Oh, the computer mouse.
To me, my computer mouse needed to be charged.
I thought you meant there was
an issue with that.
I thought you meant there was an actual mouse running around there.
No, but if I did, the terrier would get it.
Yeah.
So we will sit down and we will read the entire script and act it out because it helps him with dialogue just to hear it out loud.
Yeah.
And I'm not even giving him notes, really. Sometimes I do, especially if we're collaborating and I'm producing something with him. I will give him notes, but it's a lot of times I don't even need to give him the note. You hear it.
Yeah.
Like you just hear it. You know what I mean? And he, so he'll make adjustments as necessary. So yeah, I'm sure that there's a reason why they work together so much. It's very symbiotic,
Yeah, and I thought it was cool that she talked about with their family, it's a big consideration. Something that you're dealing with is you have to go away for these jobs. And if you can go work where your husband is also working there and bring your kids with you, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And it makes sense in that capacity. And again, if your husband is Mike Flanagan, you want to work on his projects. And
yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mike works with the same people over and over and over again. So, of course, Kate would just be one of those people. Michael Trucco has now worked with him, I think, 4 times.
Yeah.
Mary McDonald, I'm sure she'll work with him again. He is also a big Battlestar Galactica fan, obviously.
Yeah, he's worked with most of the cast now.
Yeah, right. He's just, eventually he'll go through the entire cast.
Yeah.
But he likes to work with the same people over and over and over again because it on one hand, I get it because you know sort of what you're going to get with your actors. You also know they're good people. And so you want to work with them again. You want to be surrounded by people that bring professionalism and joy to a movie set and are easy to work with.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also gives you a shorthand. If you've worked with actors multiple times, they can almost guess what you're going to say before you say it. I would imagine that it does make the day go faster and more smoothly because they know how you're going to talk to them.
And when you're a writer-director, you can write towards people because you know how to write for them because you've directed them, you've worked with them, you know what their strengths are, those kind of things. And it just makes the overall project better.
Yeah. I'm really excited about Life of Chuck. While we're recording this, it has not come out. I'm going to the premiere next week.
So
really
excited. By the time people are listening to this, it will be
out. It will be out.
Will it be in theaters? Let me check.
Mike has been talking about this project for a long time. In all of his press, he talks about this and I don't want to talk about Mike, but Kate is also in the Life of Chuck. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see this different side because Mike has said from a Mike and Kate perspective that he made this for his children, for their children. So I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's Stephen King still, but not the Stephen King that Mike usually works with. So,
did you watch Fall of the House of Usher?
I watched a couple episodes, but then I stopped. Not because it was bad, just because I got busy. So I haven't watched it all the way through.
Kate always gets the meatiest characters. Because she's fucking good at it.
I mean, she's great.
Huh?
She's so good. I'm holding back right now, but I just want to praise Midnight Mass because Midnight Mass was so good. I loved that series and highly recommend it. I mean, Hill House was amazing. Bly Manor was great. Midnight Mass was just incredible to me. And I was very excited about House of Usher, but it was just one of those things where, I don't know, life got in the way and I stopped watching it. But
yeah, her performance in all of them, but in House of Usher, it was she was an awful human being.
I think she alludes to it.
So good at being awful that it's hard as someone who knows her to be she's not like that in real life. I swear she's not like that in real life. She's awful.
Yeah.
Everyone in that movie was awful. I mean, that was the whole point, right?
Yeah. I mean, the house, the family dynasty is falling apart because everybody sucks.
Basically, everybody's like demon-esque. Yeah. She's very good. I would love to work with Kate someday. You know, when we worked together on Oculus, we really didn't, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
And we really didn't hang out that much.
Yeah, she felt a little left out, it seems.
She did, and it broke my heart. Because I've been there before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where were you filming that?
In Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we didn't hang out, you know? I mean, I spent the majority of my time, God, I was at work so much. And when I wasn't at work, I drove to New Orleans to sort of spend time, you know, that's where Scott was based at that point.
Yeah.
And so I was driving back and forth. And when I did spend time with someone, it was Karen and Brenton, just because we drank a lot. But it sounds like Kate drank a lot during that time too. And I spent a lot of time with Mike too, you know, the whole crew really like drank a lot during that project, to be honest.
It sounds like Kate, it worked out better for Kate in the end. She's sober and married the director.
But I that broke my heart actually. But I also feel really bad on my side of that too.
Yeah.
Because I think I could have seen that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should have known better. You know? I feel like I should have tried harder.
I mean, these are the growing pains, I guess. Like, how old were you in Oculus?
31 while we were filming.
And how long after Battlestar was that?
So Battlestar ended in 2008. So it was quite a number of years later. I mean,
right. Were you doing...
I was already, I'd already shot the pilot for Longmire.
Okay. All right.
And the reason I know that is because my hair was red during Oculus and I had to go back to blonde within like days of finishing. And it was really hard because my hair was like fried.
Yeah. Fried. You're really experiencing what Trisha experienced on Battlestar.
Very much so. But old enough to know better. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That can be tough though.
Yeah.
Because you're also out of your element. You're trapped at a little motel. Like, you're probably feeling your own. I mean, you talk about in this episode about you had a panic attack one night there. So it seems like you were also going through some things. I
was. But also, you know, we were bonding as a family unit on that project. It was Rory Cochrane, myself, Karen Gillan, Brenton Thwaites, Annalise Basso, and then Garrett Ryan. So we were a family unit. So Rory and I played husband and wife. And then all those 4 kids played our children at different times, young and older. So the goal of us was to bond as a family unit. And, you know, unfortunately, when you have other actors in a project, that just wasn't in my mind. Yeah. It wasn't in my mind. And I'm incredibly antisocial anyway. Yeah. But point being, I don't want to make excuses for it. I should have tried harder. Right. And I'm disappointed in myself and my old self 15 years ago, you know? Well, you know, if that makes sense. You learn lessons, you move on. And, you know, I think good for her for bringing it up. I know. All these years later. That's therapy right there, Jeph. Yeah, that is therapy. That is therapy. She seems like she has gone through quite a bit since that time. You know, like the sobriety conversation was very, you know, I don't know. It struck me particularly because I did a whole like 2-year sober thing and now I'm back to drinking again. And I feel like it's a constant struggle of like, am I drinking too much? Am I not drinking? You know, and like that's a conversation I feel like I'm constantly having in my head. So whenever I hear people talk about sobriety, my ears perk up a bit because I'm like, do I need to do this? Am I, you know, I don't know. You know, what's interesting is that I have had a lot of the same questions in my mind, and I have never been a person who on paper drinks too much. You know what I mean? Like, we've talked about this a little bit. I'm a 2 glasses of wine person.
Yeah.
I very rarely drink more than that.
Yeah.
But it's daily.
Right.
You know, which is technically considered potentially alcoholic tendencies, I guess,
Yeah.
right? I don't really drink anymore. Isn't that crazy? Even just since talking to Kate, I was already having these feelings because my body, as I get older, is just not handling alcohol the way that it used to. I'm too tired. I can't wake up with my children. I'm a better parent when I don't drink.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it's just been since Granger was born. He's a year old. So I think the last year I've been struggling with alcohol because my body doesn't want it as much.
Right.
I do.
Yeah.
But my
Your
body
brain.
doesn't. So I'm at like odds.
Yeah.
And so what's been working for me is I have found non-alcoholic replacements that taste enough like alcohol that I don't miss it. But I still will drink. Like the other night, Trisha was here and I went to a friend's house with her and I had 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this many times. That's not a lot for me, 2 glasses of wine. I didn't feel good the next day.
Yeah.
I felt like shit. And like, I can't do that. I'm not a good parent when I feel like shit. I'm short-tempered. I'm exhausted. I don't have the energy to play. Like, I don't want to be that mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have, I'm starting to understand sobriety.
Yeah.
More so.
Yeah. I think I'm right there with you. I don't have kids, but there's still a lot of adult responsibilities that I have more trouble with when I've had a couple of drinks, you know? And I feel like the social situation is the hardest part when you're out with people and everybody's drinking. It is difficult. Like we went out to dinner last night with some friends from out of town and I limited myself to 1 glass of wine. And it was like, I felt like it was a big accomplishment.
It is a big accomplishment. Like it really is. Remember when we went to the bar and had burgers like a while, 6 months ago or whatever, and I had a non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
Like that's the only hard part about that is the ordering of the non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. Not because I'm embarrassed, but because you're at a crossroads. You're in the choice seat of which am I going to choose. Yeah. Once you order it and you make the decision and lean into the non-alcoholic, it's not hard anymore. It tastes the exact same. Right. You know, I'm drinking, ironically, or just oddly enough, the non-alcoholic thing has the same like stress reduction. Yeah. Because of the pageantry of it. Let's get into the Mailsack, Jeph.
Let's do it.
Mailsack, we're going to the Mailsack. Mailsack, why are we calling it Mailsack?
You guys, you can email us at thesackoffshow@gmail.com. So comments, you guys, BG9994 says, got a hunch Filoni got tired of Sam knowing more. He just started changing the lore so he could get him back. It's funny.
Yeah. It's possible. Do you think there's like is there like competition between the two of them? And
no.
Only one of them can actually write new lore, so.
You know what's funny is Dave is such a like calm individual. I have never seen Dave angry in my entire life.
What's he got to be mad about?
I don't even know what that would be like.
Yeah. Maybe he just does his anger in a different way.
He
You ever
writes more Star Wars.
Writes more Star. Yeah, if you notice, some episodes just get a little darker in certain spots.
It's a little darker, just a little darker. There starts to be terrorism in Clone Wars.
It's when he's killing off characters. You're like, ooh, Dave's pissed.
Dave had a bad day. Here's an email from Joseph. Says, hey, Katee, first, do you think Rebecca Mader could play a live Duchess Satine? Second, would you like to play a werewolf in the future project? Yes and no.
Which one's which?
Easy. So yes, she could play Duchess Satine. She'd be great. I still am leaning toward Cate Blanchett, though. I think she's phenomenal casting.
Sure.
I would never play a werewolf or a vampire because I do not like night shoots. I turned down a character on True Blood back in the day because I don't want to work at nights.
That's
I don't want to do nights.
What if they had a day walking werewolf?
I'd be in. That'd be cool.
You'd be in for even all the prosthetics and everything.
Yeah, I mean, as long as she's like sexy.
Just a sexy wolf.
A sexy wolf. Patrick says, hey, Katee and Jeph, I recently heard the comment or a letter from a listener asking about a show sci-fi that has similar family vibe and a little bit of ad-lib and great character development similar to Battlestar. I would like to fully recommend Farscape, which came out in the late 90s. I think it was 99 and ran for 4 or 5 seasons. A really, really excellent show starring Ben Browder, Claudia Black, among others. It was an early Australia production and really, really great show. Ended far too soon. Really quirky and weird and unique. If people like Guardians of the Galaxy and things like that, this will be right up their alley. So I can fully recommend it. Also, I would love to see Ben Browder or Claudia Black on your show. I know Ben. Claudia is part of a Star Wars Mandoverse, playing one of the Force Witches in season 1 of Ahsoka. Take care. I didn't know that Claudia was in.
Yeah.
Playing. I didn't know that.
Lots of crossover there.
Yeah, a lot of crossover.
I've never watched Farscape, but I know that it is beloved, and we also have gotten a lot of comments and emails from people talking about Babylon 5, which I also never watched. But
I didn't watch Babylon 5. You know, my convention agent Julie Caitlin Brown was in Babylon 5.
Oh, really?
She was.
Well. Yeah, I've heard great things about both of those. I think they both kind of suffer from being late 90s shows or early 2000s shows when it comes to the, computer graphics and things like that. Babylon 5, I know famously the computer graphics are pretty bad. And I think there's been some fan re-edits where they have updated them, but people really like those shows, and I've never dived into either of them.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
I could have Ben on, and Claudia as well. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Episode question. Did we ask a question last time, Jeph? It was about what do you want advice about, right?
Yeah, we haven't gotten anything back from that, but I feel like this week...
We did on Patreon.
We did?
So you guys, if you want to talk to me directly, the best way to do that is on Patreon. It's patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. A couple people talked about it.
Do we want to answer that in the Patreon section?
No. Let's answer it right now so everybody has to deal with it.
Okay.
It was one of the questions was, what kind of stuff do you want advice about, right? And so on Patreon, Jake gave this hysterical recap of the entire Brendan Wayne episode, which was hysterical, by the way, and Robin also loved it. He said, this is what he wants. He said, lastly, I got to throw in my response to the question. What would I want advice about besides things like selling a home in a buyer's market? For me right now, if we're staying real and are honest, I'd genuinely be open to advice on ways people stay in touch with distant family and friends when life pulls you away for a while. That's mine.
That's great.
I'm so curious. How do you stay in touch with people, Jeph?
I mean, we live in a golden age of communication, and my family and I we have, a family text thread. We're always...
What is yours called?
Well, it was called Kids because my mom made it, and then my stepdad got rid of his iPhone, and we had to start a new one. Because, you can't have non-iPhone people.
Yeah.
And so we started a new one, and it's called New Kids. And then I'm
Super
on
creative.
one with Allison's family that's just called Family.
Oh my God. Ours is called Swinging with the Sackhoffs.
We need to update ours. I have my brother and sister and I have one, which is good. It's just the three of us. Ours is called the Porter Potties.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
I don't even know who came up with Swinging with the Sackhoffs. Everyone's on it. Robin was invited and he excused himself from the group.
He didn't want to swing?
He hates group chains, but he's got one with his family. He just doesn't want one with his friends. He just doesn't want one with my family.
And there's no weirdness about swinging as a term.
I just think like swinging meaning like, hey, let's have some fun. We're all crazy in my family.
That's what swinging means. Hey, let's have some fun.
Yeah, but like, okay, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like, no, I feel like it's like probably my sister or my brother came up with it, and they're like, you know, we're all daredevils.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably that. Yeah, any other questions?
No, this has gone on very long.
This has gone on long enough. So here's the question for next week. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is something you've been ignoring that you think you'll need to confront at some point?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. What's yours, Jeph? Alcohol?
No, because I haven't been ignoring that.
Yeah.
I think mine is, honestly, it's the most mundane thing, and we've talked about it on this show, and I'm very bad at it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but I still haven't made a dentist appointment. That's the thing.
Oh my God, Jeph.
I know.
Do you have a dentist?
No, I haven't been in a long time.
I have a dentist that is right by you.
Well, have them call me.
Oh my God. I'm going to give it to fucking Allison.
Okay.
Because you won't make it.
No, but she won't make it for me either. She'll just go, why is Katee texting me this? Make this appointment yourself.
I'm going to text you every week until you make an appointment.
All right. That's my thing. What's yours?
Something that I need to do that I've been putting off?
Yeah.
Clean out my closet.
Okay. Classic. Classic.
I have a serious problem because like when I spend a lot of money on things, I don't want to just give it to Goodwill. And like, you guys, you can buy my old clothes. Did you know that? I'm on Tradesy.
New merch store. Buy Katee's old clothes.
You can literally buy my stuff. I put it on Tradesy all the time.
Well, there you go.
So if that ever, if you ever thought, oh, it's now called Vestaire. It's not Tradesy, excuse me. It's called Vestaire. And my stuff is up for sale right now. And maybe we'll put the link out because there's a fucking link. So you can literally find it.
All right, we got it.
If you ever wanted to, let's go.
I'm being a
we'll talk
bad
about that
producer
in the Patreon,
here.
you guys. We're going to go over there. We're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to talk about hypnotism. We're going to talk about my Vestaire and buying my old clothes. If you want to check that out, go to patreon.com/The Sackhoff Show. Other than that, we will be back here next week with another great guest, and it's going to blow your socks off. But until then, we'll see you next Tuesday, and that's what's up.